like the first serious question is, what soda?
Welcome to the Coven Slumber Party with Ray of Blackheart Arts and Sarah of Calling Corners, where we break down and geek out over the witchy, magical, and mystical media of the 80s, 90s, and more, and try and fill the video store-shaped holes in our hearts. Welcome to episode 9 of the Coven Slumber Party podcast. I'm Sarah of Calling Corners.
And I'm Ray of Blackheart Arts.
What have you been up to?
Growing a human.
How's the human growing?
Exhausting.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to finally like show. I know it's supposed to be like, everyone's like, oh, well, just like embrace it, beep boop bop, but like, I can't do anything that like, you can't just like get up out of bed. You have to have this like elaborate rolling system to get out of bed.
Right.
All this stuff you just take for granted, where it's like, I'll just stand up now. No, you can't do that. You have to like use your arms, and it's fine, I guess. But it's just like, I feel like I'm gonna pull so many muscles in my body just because I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna go get that thing, and be like, ugh!
Right.
And I'll be done for like ever.
Right. Oh, that's kind of sucky. I mean, I guess it's par for the course, but
yeah. But yeah, other than that, like, it's really hard to do anything for the most part because I just am exhausted, like, a lot.
And do you have to still work, or how does that work?
Yeah, I'm working normal job, and then also still like trying to get Black Hearts going.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How's that going?
Slow and steady, which I hear is how you win races. So I'm hoping it's going to work out.
Well, you got some positive reception from your changeover so far with your social media and stuff.
Yeah.
I did want to take a second though and say this, which is a bit of a humble brag, but also something I wanted to do.
Okay.
I did want to shout out Josh Rubin, who's the director of Shudder's original Scare Me. He sent the shop, I texted you this, I think.
You did.
Yeah. He sent the shop some mail, which was a postcard, stickers, horror trading cards, just as a thank you for supporting his movie. It was totally unexpected, and all it was I had commented on his Instagram about how I'd watched the movie 4 times because I'm that person. and he said thank you, and that was that. And then like a month later, that came in the mail. It was so incredibly sweet, and I wrote my feelings down earlier because I didn't think that I'd be able to say it. He totally did not have to do it, but it just shows how like grassroots he is with fans of the film, and just communicated a lot about the value he holds for horror, its fans, and he's totally a horror fan himself, so that makes total sense. But check him out on Instagram. He's hilarious, and check out Scare Me on Shudder. It stars Josh, Aya Cash, and Chris Red, and they're all hilarious and brilliant. And it's have you watched it?
I haven't. It was on like was it like Shudder TV or whatever?
Oh yeah.
On right away. It was on there, and I watched it for like a second, but I was trying to watch something in particular.
Right. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I should go back. That looked kind of funny.
Right. It was like, so funny.
It was a moment where they were like in a cabin, and it was intense, and the guy looked really scared, and the girl was like kind of feeding into that, and then out of nowhere she was like, I ordered you a pizza, and I was like, what? Something like that. It made me confused but intrigued at the same time.
Yeah, it's a gem. I loved it, so I'll probably watch it like 10 more times, just because it feels, going back to podcasts we've done in the past, it just feels like you're hanging out with your buds, and that's the best feeling with horror, I think.
True. I'm writing it down because I will totally forget.
Tonight we are talking about the criminally panned horror comedy with a seriously late but potent reclamation as a smart, viciously relevant, poignant, and somehow still a popcorn flick that makes us all weirdly nostalgic for high school. 2009's Jennifer's Body. I f***ing love this movie.
It's so good. I remember the first time I watched it, I thought it was good, and then rewatching it again, I'm like, oh, it's just as good as I remember. Getting ready for this led me into a lot of weird places.
Oh.
For like research and stuff, and like kind of just like opening up thought paths and stuff. The past week week to 2 weeks have led to like some really weird things and conversations.
Well, I'm excited to break into that then, because I want to know all your feels about this.
I have many. Let's see if I can actually articulate them, though. This'll be the fun part.
I have one whole page that's just titled Megan Fox.
Oh, you're gonna monopolize, and I'm going
No, I'm
to
not
let
going
you,
to.
and
No,
it's
I
gonna
want
be
you to
great.
do as much as you want to do, and I'll add.
I want to hear about Megan Fox because, like, in doing research for this, I like realized that she's an amazing human.
Yeah, she's like the best human.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, let's do the housekeeping stuff.
IMDb, it only has 5.2 out of 10. But anyway, it says a newly possessed high school cheerleader turns into a succubus who specializes in killing her male classmates. Can her best friend put an end to the horror?
That's not too bad.
That's pretty okay if you all things considered. Yeah. It's got the succubus part, right?
Directed by Karin Kusama, written by Diablo Cody, starring Megan Fox as Jennifer, Amanda Seyfried as Needy, Johnny Simmons as Chip, and Adam Brody as Nikolai.
The cast is great because there's a super young Chris Pratt thrown in there.
There's a super young Chris Pratt.
He only has like one scene, like I think maybe like a handful of lines, as Officer Roman Duda. I wrote it down. I hope that's right. He takes apparently, quote, one of Jennifer's virginities, unquote.
Yes, yep.
So he's got a role. Amy Sedaris.
Oh, that's what I was forgetting. Yes, Amy Sedaris.
I totally forgot. I like was blown away when she came on the screen because I always forget that she's an amazing actor,
yeah.
Like not just like Strangers with Candy. I'm like, oh right, you're amazing. J.K. Simmons as the teacher with the bad wig in one hand. That role is perfect.
Yes. Oh. You're so right. And that actually reminds me also that sweet end cameo with Lance Henriksen, who's driving the vehicle.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Why?
I don't know.
It's so great. But
it's just he's like, I'm going to give the people what they want.
And he did, and it was so good. I was so thankful. But yeah, J.K. Simmons, when he showed up, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
What is he doing in this movie? And why does he... I'm like not upset that he had the hook hand, but just... I think I really appreciate that sometimes where just characters just have that just... They're just unique and that's what they are, you know? Like, there's no explanation needed. He just has a hook hand.
Yeah, I did love that.
It's that. Nice.
It is nice. I love that scene, too, where the kid's, like, you know, getting eaten in the woods and he's screaming.
Yes.
You can hear. The teacher's just like, let it out.
Yeah.
Let it out, kids.
It's so precious when you look at it from, like, his point of view. You're like, oh, yeah, he's just really happy that that kid has the space to, like, let his emotions out. Aw, what a tender teacher. But it's like, no, he's getting ripped in half.
Yeah.
But then also Kyle Gallner, I think is how you say his name. He plays Colin Gray, like the...
Colin, yeah.
Like the cool dude.
Yeah, the emo kid.
I will forever and always hate his face, though, because he has one of those faces that I should love. It's like soft and like he's just like a doop-a-doop kind of guy. But because of his character Beaver and Veronica Mars, I will always hate him. Like, always.
See, I've never watched Veronica Mars, but I did know he was in it.
I'm so glad that I didn't say the reason why I hate him, because then I would have ruined it
that's
for
okay.
you.
No, that's fine. I actually do okay with ruined movies for me.
Veronica Mars is probably one of the most fun watches I've ever experienced.
Really?
She's a tiny little private detective, film noir, fast talking, sassy queen that's just like good at everything. She's a great character.
That's awesome.
It's very dated though.
Right.
There's a lot of puka shell necklaces. It's like kind of hard to be like, oh, we're supposed to find this guy attractive, you know? Oh, low-rise jeans, okay. But it's really well written. It's a good show.
Mm-hmm. I might check it out then. Yeah, this is my only knowledge of Kyle. What's his name again?
Gallner.
Kyle Gallner.
And he's great in it. Like he
is.
really honestly is lovely in it. but I still am just like, I'm gonna punch you in your putty face for what you do, you bad boy. I'll probably see him in a movie when he's like 60, and I'm gonna be like, oh, you still have the same feelings.
I didn't realize this was named after a song by Hole.
Yeah.
No idea. See, I was never really big into Hole, so I didn't know. Like, I've heard, like, you know, the classics or whatever. Like, you know, I've heard Doll Parts and Malibu or whatever.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I never really, like, the Courtney Love never really resonated with me.
No, same.
But, like, I get it. There was, like, an aesthetic. There was a vibe.
I always kind of lean towards Kathleen Hanna. No reason, just I think I just discovered it first.
Same. Yeah. Yes. You took the word right out of my mouth.
Right? I have a picture of her. There's an article. I was getting rid of my magazines, and there was an article from like 2014 of her. It's called "A Quieter Riot," just about how she's like studious now, and she thinks the best thing that's happened to Riot Girl is, you know, criticism and developing it and stuff. And it's just like, just a picture of her with her glasses and a ponytail and like very librarian. And I just look at it every day while I'm working for inspiration.
That's makes me so happy. My heart.
Yeah. I was trying to see if they, Courtney Love or anyone in the band had said anything about the song, and I couldn't, like, they'd comment on writing it, but not about, what it means. It is a very haunting song, though. It's very dark. Anyway, most things that I've read about it, people interpret it as literally being about a murder. Is there anything you want to talk about right away?
I guess one thing it's just weird going back and rewatching it. For some reason in my head, I thought it came out a lot earlier than 2009. I don't know why. It was like 2004 or 5 or 6 or something. I thought it was in that wheelhouse for some reason, but no. And then watching it and stuff, and I was like, we were still doing stuff like this in 2009? We were still dressing like this in 2009? We were still listening to music like this in 2009? It just kind of, like I said earlier, I have no concept of time at all now. So, like, it's very weird.
You know what, though? That's funny that you say that, though, because it does feel like it's consciously a period piece in a lot of ways. Like, it feels like, I know we joked about one of the movies that we had done being a period piece from like 2016, but like, I feel like this actually, like, kind of, it feels like it's supposed to be earlier. Yeah. I don't know why exactly, but it does. And the other thing too is it elicited like, it really made me feel like going back to, like, being in high school. Like, I got high school vibes from it. I felt so nostalgic. And so, of course, we would have been there, you know, 2004, 2003, which, you know, kind of felt like that's why the movie should be recorded then, I think, too. I don't know. But I felt that, too.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah. I don't know. It felt, because if you think about it, it's just over 10 years old. I feel like it should be 20 years old.
Yeah.
I just don't, like, there's nothing bad about the movie that makes me, like, it's not that it's, like, poorly done or anything like that. It's like, yeah, it's very dated because of the music and the clothing and styles and stuff. But, like, I don't know. It just feels bizarre that it's only, like, just over 10 years old.
Yeah. Like, the Fall Out Boy seems like it was cooler, like, way more than 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yes.
Which was a huge part of this movie.
I was not a Fall Out Boy fan. I was not into that, whatever pop punk thing was happening. It was not my bag. Maybe that's why I'm so lost on the timeline, is because I never cared about it, and I don't. Do you know, it's like certain songs and certain albums or whatever, you're like, oh my god, this is like this year or like this summer in particular.
Yeah.
So this is all.
You can't place Fall Out Boy.
No, it's just a big question mark. I think they wore hats. I really don't know. I don't know.
I do remember watching the music video a lot for, well, I guess when it came out, for, I can't even remember the name of their song, but the music video is like the girl's dating the boy, and the boy has, antlers. And so her dad's always trying to hunt him.
Shoot him! Oh my god, yep.
And then at the end of the video, the boy, like, saves the dad from, I don't remember, maybe getting hit by a car or something. I really can't, I might be making that up.
Sugar, we're going down.
We're going down.
I'm looking it up. Yeah. Was one of the guys, Pete Wentz, is that
Pete
his
Wentz
name?
was in it, yeah.
And would he, like, flip his guitar around in a circle?
Yeah,
would he be
maybe.
like, whoa! And then...
That sounds right. I don't remember that much, but I think you're probably right. But I do remember always, like, getting, like, This is so. I cried at Scream 2, remember? So, like,
Yeah.
But, like, at the end, because the dad gets knocked down and his shoes fly off and he's got deer hoofs. And I just remember, like, being so tender and being like, oh, he was trying to kill him because he reminds him of him. It's so beautiful. And it's not, but at the time I thought it was very profound.
Also, I just wanted to say, because I do like it, the tagline for the movie is, she's evil, ... and not just high school evil. Like, that's kind of funny.
That is a great tagline.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to point out, because 2009 apparently is like a pit of question mark for me, and I have no idea what was happening. At this time, Megan Fox just came off of the Transformers crazy bonkers bus. Amanda Seyfried, I looked up on IMDb. The only thing I really cared about that came out close to this was Chloe. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah, I didn't see Chloe.
It's really good. I remember watching it randomly one day, and that's when I was like, oh my God, Amanda Seyfried is a beast. This is an amazing movie, and she's absolutely stunning in it. And also, she's stunning in this movie. It's hard to believe that anyone would be like, oh, Needy, you're such a loser. It's like, she's a stone cold fox, you losers. Like, get over it.
But we're still going from a time that didn't really get beyond the when you take your glasses off, you're hot era.
And see, this is the thing. This whole movie, and like looking into all of this and stuff, it made me really get into all of these stupid like stereotypes and tropes and roles and everything, and I kind of hate watching stuff now. I think it'll get better, but like I just am over hyperly critical of everything now. Like, I was watching a show just now with Justin. It's like I forget what it's called. It's like a new Apple show about female astronauts going into space. There was just a scene where an engineering mathematician was trying to work out an equation, and there was so many jump cuts of like close up on pen, pencil, adjusting glasses, eyeballs. It was just like so scattered cuts, and it was like, this is what math is. To prove that she's committed to the job, everyone else leaves the office and the lights are off, except she's still working there with her table lamp still on. You know, it's like, would that really happen though? Do you honestly think that someone would just be like, well, I'm gonna go home, Stacy, and she's like, turn the lights off, I'll just be in the dark over here? No, they'll be like, they'll just leave the room. They won't turn the lights off on this woman. You know, just stuff like that. But it accentuates her, and it's just like, oh, she's serious.
Yeah,
because she's in the dark. Anyway, Amanda Seyfried was in Mamma Mia in 2008.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Chloe came out right after. Chloe came out in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And no one really cares, but Johnny Simmons, who plays Chip, who was also in Scott Pilgrim,
Johnny Simmons is just a frickin' doll. I love Johnny.
So good. Anytime I see him, all I can think of is the line from Scott Pilgrim where he's like, yeah, you should really see them live, when they're like at an event to watch the band live. He's just so precious. But yeah, also Diablo Cody, pretty much she had just written Juno and got an Academy Award. It was kind of like out of nowhere. And then that's all she had under her belt.
Yeah, that was her first screenplay, I think.
Yeah, and so then this. I feel like that's very important context for how this movie was ripped apart and dissected and everything, because Hollywood loves to, like, everyone actually loves to make darlings, make these people like absolute glittering stars, and then they never succeed.
Yeah, like you said, this movie didn't do super hot in 2009 when it came out. It was panned by audiences and critics, I believe.
Yeah.
And they marketed it to straight teen boys.
So stupid.
Now, they keep bringing this point up, which is so interesting to me, that all horror was marketed to straight teen boys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because I never really thought about that as a horror consumer in my teens. Never really crossed my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew there were movies I liked better, and I couldn't really pinpoint why at the time. Like Ginger Snaps and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was absolutely clueless to the fact that they were not marketing it for me.
Same. Yeah, same. I don't know, because, okay, this kind of leads into stuff I will probably attempt to talk about later, is that I never really realized that women were different than men growing up. You know, like, I watched Indiana Jones and I was like, yeah, that's a dope job. I'll do that. Or like, I watched Jurassic Park and was like, yeah, okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah.
I didn't ever think that my gender was anyway like a barrier for me until I got older.
You know what? It's a same. Like, it never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
As a youth, like as a teenager, up until college, honestly, when I started experiencing like the different treatment and started, which was a rude awakening.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like we were supposed to know this, and I'm kind of happy we didn't, though, because clearly.
See, that's the thing. Like, I feel like it was. I don't know. It's like I've tried to figure this out before, and it's like, because my mom is like a very strong woman. There was never like any gender roles in our home, really. It was like she did just as much stuff as my dad, and it was like a team completely. If one person didn't have time or couldn't do this one thing, the other subbed in.
Yeah.
So I never understood that there was this like weird societal like understanding that women had these roles and men had these roles.
Same.
And it wasn't until grew up and got out on my own, and then everyone was like, what the is wrong with you? Or like tried to put me in my quote place unquote, and I was like, I don't go there. What this is not my place. So yeah, it was good, I think, that I didn't, because I think I'd have like even less confidence in myself now if I understood that's what the world expected of me as a woman.
Me too. Yeah.
But it did make for hard times. And like right now, especially because I guess it's going to be in this podcast now. I am growing a human inside of me. It's really hard to struggle with all of that right now because I'm 35. I've already lived like a life, kind of, essentially. And it's just taken in the past couple of years for me to understand who I am in my life and what it is to be a woman and me and all of this stuff. And then you slide into that mother role. It's just scary because you get worried that you're going to just be put in that one role and that's what you are. It's like, you're a mother now. And it's like, no, I'm allowed to be multiple things. It goes to some of the things I was watching and researching for this that led me like listening to some movie reviewers and stuff review certain movies where they were like complaining that women had multiple roles or certain like multiple characteristics and stuff. And they were like, oh, she should just be this or this. And it's like, are you upset that a woman can be more than one thing in a movie? Like, have you ever had a girlfriend or like a woman in your life ever? Like, what do you mean? She can be more than one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, I think that's very true. No, I experienced very much the same thing. Except for me, I think the most I'll get in terms of that is weird aunt energy.
Live that up. That's good energy, man.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But no, like, I am the same as you. Like, my parents, like, I don't know, probably outwardly it looked like they were conforming more to, like, the stereotypical gender roles just because my mom was a stay-at-home mom and that sort of thing. But, like, they never acted in that way. Like, I just never had any clue that was a thing. Like, my favorite thing, I don't know what this says about me. My two favorite things to dress up as a kid were a bride and Fred Penner. And to me, I, like, had no, like, I didn't know those, like, there was no understanding that, like, oh, this is,
I wish that this could record my face because that was such a pure reaction. A bride and Fred Penner?
Yeah.
That is so Canadian. That's so precious. Oh my God.
But I did come to this idea, which was kind of weird and speaks to kind of what we're talking about with not being aware of, like, the differences when we were young. This movie was critically panned by audiences in 2009. It was marketed to straight teen boys, as all horror movies were at the time, so I'm told. Through that lens, audiences being told to go, so straight teen boys, and film critics are assessing it relative to other films in the teen horror genre. And I feel like the problem is this movie can't be looked at as relative to its peers because there's nothing like it, except for Ginger Snaps, but that's a lesser known Canadian film, so probably forgotten in their eyes if they ever knew about it at all, but still very much a sacred text. But the crux of this is that they could not compute that there was a market / horror genre that existed to tell female stories as subtext mostly, but also decoded by the people the movie was actually for. In the horror genre, like, they just never thought that was, like, a thing.
This is just stupid.
It was just not even thought of. Luckily for now, I think that would be thought of today. Like, they couldn't not think of it.
Yeah. Okay, just to piggyback off that for a second, is like, because I looked up the percentage of women in Hollywood during 2009. Okay, on the top 100 grossing films of 2019, just for like perspective, women represented 10.7% of directors. Do you think that is small or large?
I think that is small.
Oh, that's funny. I'll just write that you thought that was small. And we'll get to 2009 in a second. 19.4% of writers. I'd say a little on the small side.
Yeah, it's small.
Yeah. 24.3% of producers.
Okay.
That's like, you're starting to get a quarter of the way there. That's all right. But editors is really cool. 70.4% of editors were women in 2019 in the top 100 grossing films. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty rad. We're just gonna go back in time to 2009 here. Women in Hollywood. The percentage of directors. Guess? Do you have a guess?
4%.
Oh, it's 7%.
Oh, I like that. I'm like,
oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
7 whole percent.
That's awful.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Writers slightly better at 8%.
Okay, that's terrible.
Yep. Producers still like pretty on par at 23%. Editors is like a very sharp contrast from the 2019. So it's editors at 18%. So there was like big gains there, which is awesome. But the amount of women in Hollywood in 2019 as cinematographers is an astounding 2%.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that at all.
But like, isn't that disheartening?
Yeah, but camera is very much like a male dominated world.
Still, like in 2019, it's just gotten to 16%.
Yeah. Did you read that there was a lot of video about this too, when they're talking about the test audience results and their suggestions?
More boobs.
Needs more boobs. BEWBS.
I was gonna say what is it? It's from like ET Live or something, but like the interview from 2019. Is that the one you're talking about?
Oh, they do say it there too. Yeah, there's a few podcasts that say it. Let's talk about that interview.
Yeah, with pleasure, because it was fabulous and heartbreaking at the same time.
It was so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Let me just search my notes for the word tears. Okay, so there was a 10-year reunion interview it was Entertainment Tonight, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
10 Entertainment Tonight, with Megan Fox and Diablo Cody, where they interviewed each other. It broke my heart.
It was so sad. Part of me was like, there's a couple of like fists pumped. Yeah, girls, like you did it. You kept yourself safe and sane, and you're still here fighting. I was happy.
Especially, yeah. Just being able to weather that storm is just insanity. I mean, it's wonderful, but I could never have done it.
No.
And I do want to talk about that more when we talk about Megan Fox, but I did want to quote that, and we'll link that interview in our show notes. But she says, Megan says, "We live in this moment right now where you believe victims, but if there was ever gonna be one person that it was okay not to believe, it would be me. That's just the belief because of what I've been through. That's not to say that it's right, but it's a fear. There's still not really a space, like, I don't feel there's a space in feminism for me." Holy shit, man, I cried when she said that. I legit cried.
I don't feel like there's a space in feminism for me. Even though I consider myself a feminist, I feel like feminists don't want me in the group. What the sweet
I know. It's heartbreaking to hear her say that. It's literally broke my heart to hear her say that. And she says it just so raw. Like, that it's her feelings. I can't imagine, like, having to go through, like, so many years of just having to feel that way.
Most of your adult life.
Yeah.
Like, she was 15 when she got into Hollywood or whatever. Like, she was young when she was in Transformers. And then just had, like, the rest of her life to deal with judgment from everyone.
Yeah.
Over your body. Over nothing other than your bod.
Yeah.
And your face. Like, how is that?
It's so messed up.
Ready, and be aggressive, be
like you mentioned, Diablo Cody was had the unexpected success of Juno, and because of that, there was a desire to take her down a peg within the film industry and its gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling was very palpable. She describes it in an interview so perfectly as schadenfreude, which is an amazing word. And just like, for those listening, it's basically just like the pleasure of other people's suffering or discomfort.
Yeah.
And Megan Fox at the time, she was being berated in the media for reasons that are not even worthy of disdain.
Like, I don't even understand any of it. But
I know.
whatever.
But they were amplified by the media and by the public's projection of her and what we thought that said and meant about her. And it's so gross thinking about that now. We do not deserve Megan Fox.
No.
We just do not. We can see it all in hindsight, of course, because we have the luxury of a decade since this came out.
Yeah.
But we can reassess it as a public, and just like how we see the treatment of Britney Spears getting reassessed suddenly, we can look at this through different eyes. But you can look back at interviews with Megan Fox from 2009 for Jennifer's Body, and every male interviewer can't not speak about how she is hot or how most guys must be in love with her. And you can see it in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It bothers her. She's so poised. She's so graceful in how she answers, and she's humorous in how she answers. But without fail, they ask her about this. And the frustrating thing is, like, it must be so not only to be loved and hated for the same reason, how confusing that must have been for somebody so young.
Yeah.
But Megan Fox is so interesting and so smart. And so this must have just been so boring for her.
Yeah.
You know?
True. It's like I've watched people interviewing Scarlett Johansson for the Black Widow, whatever, Marvel spectacular movie, whatever. And like 90% of the time she was asked, like, was she wearing underwear or could she wear underwear? And if so, what kind of underwear is under her uniform or like outfit? And it's like none of her male counterparts are ever asked this. And their outfits are also skin tight. But it's always like, Scarlett. And they're like, well, it's my job. I don't understand how these movies have been out for a while, sure, but they're still pretty recent. The fact that anyone could attempt to ask anyone about their underwear and guise it to be like, oh, no, this is my job. I'm being professional blows my mind.
Yeah, I know.
And the fact that, like, these people aren't, like, there's no repercussions. No one ever says anything. The fact that there were probably other people around, like, during these interviews, especially, like, with Megan Fox and stuff, and, like, no one would ever be like, okay, close your face now.
Yeah.
Like, she's more than just the outside appearance.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's true.
I don't know. My patience, I guess, is getting really thin, too, for all of this stuff.
Did you watch Promising Young Woman?
I haven't yet. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for like so long to watch this movie. Is it good?
It's the perfect movie.
Oh my god, yay!
It's the
I'm so
perfect
excited.
movie.
Oh, break my glasses.
And the beautiful thing is, like, Emerald Fennell, I think is the name of the director. I hope I'm saying that. You can trust everything. Or did she write and direct it?
She wrote and directed, yes.
Yeah, you can trust her. Like, it's about assault. There's uncomfortable parts, but you can really trust the viewing experience, which I think is so important when you're talking about stuff like that, because you don't know what's going to trigger people, right?
Yeah. I just, like, I remember watching the trailer for it probably last summer, and I just from the first time I watched the trailer, I was like, that's going to be something. That's special. Yeah. Like, there's something about that movie that is so, I just, like, it got me so excited. And it was supposed to come out, like, just, like, on Christmas, the same time as Wonder Woman, and it didn't. I wasn't able to stream it or anything. So I'm waiting for a weekend to just, like, rent it and just, like, love.
Yeah, it was, I watched it with my mom, and by the end of the movie, we were literally clapping and yelling and crying so much that our rest of our family came in to see what was wrong. It's the perfect movie.
That makes me so happy, because I feel like this is something that is lacking from the stories being presented, and I'm glad it was done in a way that was with respect.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it's so good. Text me after you watch it. I have to know.
I'm so excited because like sometimes, you know, the isolation of COVID and everything kind of alters your experience sometimes and like your lens.
Yeah.
So sometimes I've like watched stuff or trailers or something and I've been like, whoa, that's gonna be great. And then I watch it and I'm like, what was I thinking? This is garbage. What?
Yeah.
So I was a little nervous that I was hyping it up too much. But it also has, doesn't it, did you watch the trailer?
I don't remember.
Because that's all I'm basing my love
I
for
think
it is just the trailer
watched
so far.
it. Yeah.
I think it's like, I feel like it's like Toxic or something by Britney Spears, like done in a different, like it's like a cover of something like that, or like
the music,
you know?
the music in, oh my god, the music in it is amazing. Like Paris Hilton, like just so like
it's that she had a career.
Yes, yeah, she had a music career. Yeah, just the music. Oh my god, the music in the end. Oh my god, yes. It's beautiful.
I'm really kind of excited to see, like, I'm assuming, and again, don't tell me anything if I'm wrong, because I don't want any sort of anything close to a spoiler, but like this sort of revenge style, feminist revenge sort of film wave that's happening, like, I really enjoy it.
Me too.
Like, I really enjoy it. It's very cool.
Yeah.
But also I'm just like, I like the fact that there's more space now for just feminist movies in general. What was it? I have somebody wrote something down and I was like, yeah. So I was like, what even is feminist film to most people? I feel like there's possibly so many definitions.
Oh, that's probably true.
But this I read and I was like, yeah. A film that displays feminist philosophy and shows action through a female's point of view, often discussing political, economical, and cultural oppression of women in society. And I'm like, yeah. Okay.
That makes perfect sense to me. That's how I would have probably.
But I was like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yep. So that's definitely a movie that fits the criteria. And also Adam Brody is in it. And he's also in this. And which is interesting.
Right. I also like that guy forever and always will just be, what was it? Orange County?
Seth Cohen? Yeah.
Seth Cohen, yeah.
Yeah.
Chrismica?
Yeah,
I think was the thing.
It was, but it's so funny that now he plays. You know, props to him for doing these roles in such great movies, though. Like, it's just so funny that he's playing such a prick. Like, you know what I mean?
He's very good in this movie. Okay, because we've talked about so much, but not the movie. So I'm gonna jump back to the movie for a second.
Yeah, do it.
I thought I remembered everything about the movie, and I did to a degree, but there were some things that I forgot about, and then things happened in a different order than I remembered. I think I forgot how great Adam Brody is in it.
He's pretty great in it.
I remember always being like, that was funny. He played a bad guy, but he's very good in it. The one thing I completely forgot happened is the fire at the bar.
Oh, yeah.
I like totally forgot that happened.
Yeah.
And like he plays that, like, I know he's supposed to be like the hot guy in the band, but like in my head, he's that sleazy piece of shit in the band. He plays it really well.
Yeah.
And then once the place catches on fire and Needy like pulls Jennifer out and she's like kind of in a daze or something, like kind of a spell is almost kind of put on her.
Yeah.
And they're in the parking lot. He just like swoops in with a drink and is totally just like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, don't worry about the fire. Everything's cool. What's going on? Let's get in the van. Like, it's so smooth how he comes in and she just is like, okay, and just is like taken away. It's very alarming because you know what's happening. And you're like, wait, what? Why is he so chill? What's happening? But it's just so, he does it so well.
He does. And at one point he's like trying to justify it, like super casually. It's like, I'm just on what, I can't remember the line, but it's like, I'm just on like fight or float mode. I don't know.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know. Here's a drink that I have mixed in my hand, like ready to go.
So I guess they must have had something spiritually or supernaturally to do with the fire.
I think that's what I kind of got because they seemed like completely prepared for it to happen. And like when it started getting crazy. Like at one point, I think Adam Brody's character kind of like smiles and is like, excellent, like way to go.
Yeah.
So I think so. I think they decide that Jennifer's the one and then somehow that happens. I don't know, but also Also, I forgot that the scene where she is sacrificed is later on in the film. I remember it happening sooner.
Me too.
And
Yeah.
oh my God, it's so good.
It's so good.
Not only is Megan Fox a beast in it,
Yeah.
she is believable and like she's acting her pants off. The dialogue and everything is ridiculous. The fact that he just like prints this thing off the internet and he just has a copy. He's like, I got it off the internet.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Or that line where the other bandmate is having second thoughts and he's like, do you want to work at the coffee shop for the rest of your life?
Yeah, and then he like after he's like, no, again, and he like Adam Brody looks back at everyone else and is kind of like, oh, can you believe this guy? Sort of thing, and it's like you're gonna sacrifice a woman and you can't believe that someone has second thoughts. But also like right before he's about to kill her, and then he stops and they start singing Jenny by Tommy Two Tone. That was so good.
Oh my gosh. No, it was 100% so good. The scene is so traumatic and troubling, but it's balanced in this way that is just, there's so many great lines. There's so much. It's brilliant.
That scene right there, I feel like is a really good example of a scene that should be shown to all of these people back in 2009 again, to be like, you didn't think it was scary or funny?
Yeah.
Like, this scene is exactly that.
Yeah.
It is terrifying and also hilarious. But again, we have to remember pretty much everyone watching this movie and reviewing this movie were dudes. So they didn't put themselves in Jennifer's body.
Exactly. Like,
you know,
that's a thing. And like, there's such great comedic timing with that scene with the band, but it touches on this problem that always I find really troubling. Like it's a part of a lot of horror that I kind of don't watch, which is this concept of bonding over somebody's distress. I hate that sort of element.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's real. Like I think that is how people that commit crimes minds can work. Like I think that that's probably an accurate sort of bonding structure for people. And I don't like it. And let's start with Megan Fox.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause man,
precious bean.
She's precious.
We really don't deserve her. She's pretty great.
No, I agree 100%. To go back to her, actually, I want to talk about this, which is exciting and fun. So, a few years ago, I learned that Megan Fox was into astrology.
Ooh.
And I heard her talk about it on a talk show. And she spoke about it with such passion and knowledge and like technical detail. And I was just like, oh shit, I gotta take notes. Like, this is this is getting really intense. And so also during the research for this podcast, I was listening to her on other podcasts being interviewed, and she was talking about, you know, like history and metaphysics and supernatural sensitivity, always with the same level of like in-depth knowledge and detail and comprehension. And she has a show, like a history show as well.
What?
Yeah, she, what is it called? Now I have to look it up 1 second. Legends of the Lost with Megan Fox, where she goes places and like talks about their history. Like she did one at Stonehenge, stuff like that.
Okay.
I haven't watched any episodes yet. I got to track down the show, but I was watching like the trailers and listening to her talk about it. So I mean, the woman is so smart. Like, and she knows so many things. I'm just like, oh god, what am I doing? But the reason that I wanted to bring that up too was because if she ever writes a book on spirituality, which she doesn't talk about a book, but she talks about spirituality and stuff. I promise that it is the farthest thing from left field and random to anyone that's listening to her and paying attention.
Yeah.
And I'm like already hungry for this book that she's never suggested writing and might not even cross her mind. But we need it. We just need it. She's amazing.
Just putting it out in the universe that she needs to do that.
To kind of like just go off of that. So anytime I hear about people experiencing something harrowing, which Megan did, being one person against the often jealous, and to borrow from Diablo Cody, the schadenfreude public, among other harrowing experiences that she's alluded to but never outwardly said. Whenever people go through that sort of harrowing thing and experience or develop a spiritual outlook, that they share publicly like that, I always get interested in exploring that spiritual lens because I feel like those people are braver than me. And so I want to be tuned into like what they're tuned into, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
And so I realized another example of this for me was Damien Eccles, which, I mean, the stories are vastly different. You cannot compare those two, their two experiences, of course, but the spiritual aspect, like, I'm always keen to hear what he's writing and what he's talking about and, like, what he's putting on YouTube or his books and stuff. Because you want to know how they got through these things, and clearly there's a spiritual aspect to that. So, like, I just want to tune into what that is. And so for anyone listening who's not super familiar with Damien Eccles, like, definitely check him out and hear his story because it's like super intense, and also check out his books.
I think I like that. I like kind of finding someone that has a strength and like checking that out, doing some groundwork there.
Yeah.
I like that. I never do that. I always think that it's such a like singular voyage and journey, which it's not.
I mean, it could be. I don't know. I don't know if it's healthy that I do that or not, but it fascinates me, and I just feel like they have to be onto something if they were able to survive things.
But it's like, if you close yourself off to everything, like that also kind of defeats the whole purpose, isn't it? Because like if you're looking to seek help spiritually, there is a connection to other.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But if you're like, no thanks, I got this. Piss off, universe, I'm good.
But like, it's just like, I don't know, it just feels so weird because it's like you think about like the things they experience, like his experience in prison and like Megan Fox's experience being like drugged through the coals in public, and it's just like, you know, like, dude, I get upset when I have to turn people away because we're at maximum capacity at the store, like, you know, like I need something.
But I don't know, I'm definitely one of those people that believe that things happen for a reason. And, like, things are sprinkled across your path for a reason. Like, it's definitely, like, one of those situations. I forget the term for it, but it's like when you, like, learn a word for the first time, and then all of a sudden you hear it everywhere.
Oh, I would love to know what the word is for that.
I don't even know how to Google. What would I Google? I don't know. But yeah, there's a term for that where it's like, and I feel like sometimes the universe just does some stuff like that for you just to like kind of reassure you. Well, at least for me, to reassure me that I'm like doing the right thing and I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because I'm so ADHD. I'm like, I'll just wander off into the woods off my path like within 2 seconds.
Right.
So yeah, the universe sometimes is like, oh no, remember that thing? Yeah, it's still that thing. And I'll have to like do that for like a month and be like, no, it's still a good thing. Yeah, I think that's fair. And if you get power from that person and if you feel power from them, you know, and yeah, I think that's groovy.
Point is, Megan Fox needs to come out with a spiritual book.
Yeah, also a parenting book from Megan Fox would be great because I like read an interview with her and she was talking about her kids and how she just was like raising them to just be open to experience life and decide their own path. And like, because one of her boys started wearing dresses and growing his hair out and everyone was like, oh my God, like, ugh. It's like gender roles. And she was like, whatever, he can wear a dress if he wants to wear a dress. I'm not going to tell him what he can and cannot wear because society deems it inappropriate or like outrageous, you know, like, no. And like, he was a zombie cheerleader for Halloween one year and like full on like femme cheerleader, like with a little pleated skirt. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, this is great. I will totally help you make this outfit. She's just like, let them experience life. She just seems so chill and like wise.
I think like wise was like the best word, like the one you just used to describe Megan is so true. Like hearing her, like granted, I can't relate. I don't have a desire to be a mother in a traditional sense at all. I don't foresee that being a part of my path. But to hear her talk about motherhood is just, it's beautiful. Like it's truly beautiful to see like, or hear how her life is and just how she feels about things and her perspective. It's just, it was really touching, and I'm really glad she was able to find some solace and like, which I'm not surprised by because she very clearly has like a good head on her shoulders.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
Considering everything, how she was treated for, probably like 6 years.
Yeah.
At least. Was either completely disgustingly sexualized, like hypersexualized, or like villainized.
Mm-hmm.
Like that usually would send people in that position into some dark places. And she alludes to that in the ET interview with the like Diablo. They both admit that like Jennifer's body sent both of them into a depression and like not okay. They both just like stepped away and had babies and were like, this is my life now, bye. But then eventually came back and were like, wait, you. Like, another thing that from that interview, to go back to like, it was something that Diablo said, and it like made me so sad, because they were talking about just the movement of just like believing women, you know, like moving forward, but believing women. And like Megan talked about like, yeah, but no one would believe me, sort of thing. Diablo was like, I feel the same way, because she was like, I used to be a stripper. So if I ever talk to someone or like bring up an issue where it was like, I felt like I was being treated inappropriately or something was happening with like a male gaze kind of idea, where it was like, she was like, I didn't think anyone would believe me because I once put my body on display for a job. And it's like, well, if you did that, then like it like hurt my heart that she was basically like, because I did that once, I think people think that I deserve it forever and ever in my life.
Yeah.
In every aspect of my life.
That was hard to hear too, for sure.
Yeah.
Amanda Seyfried, you know, it's interesting playing the best friend, Needy. She kind of is oddly absent in any sort of media context regarding this movie, I feel like. I didn't see anything with her at all.
Her and Megan both say that this was like their most fun project that they've ever done. Like,
Really?
they loved it the most. Yeah. Which is precious to me.
It's precious. I'm really glad to hear that. I kind of just wish that we heard a bit more about her experience. I mean, she's mentioned, you know, there's two love scenes. One of them is, of course, between her and her boyfriend, played by Johnny Simmons, Chip, and then the other one is with Jennifer, which of course got all the attention. But that's the shitty thing about this, is like, I feel like people that criticize the movie harshly, I still feel like they probably see that as trying to titillate a male audience. And it's weird that the things that I don't find very nuanced, that I find very obvious, it's weird that they don't see it. And I'm just like, I was watching this with my mom last night, and she's like, she really loved her boyfriend a lot. And I was like, did you watch those two love scenes? She's like, yeah. It's like, Mom, she's gay. Like,
yeah. That's so cute, though. Aw, because, like, they show it multiple times.
Yeah.
And she's always having that, like, look over to Jennifer. Oh, slow hold hand moment. Slow-mo hand hold. But she did like Chip. She did love Chip, I'm sure. But,
well,
like...
Chip is a sweet gem. Like, just the... Just
Am
like
I
this...
too big? That line killed me. Am I too big?
The look on his face, like, he was so...
He, like, kind of smiles a little bit. He's like, holy I am.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I love that guy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more there than... I think she just didn't want Chip to die alive.
Well, I think, like, when I look back now, and I mean, it's obvious that she was gay, and then also Diablo Cody said it explicitly in an interview with the Boo Crew, which is a podcast. I've only ever listened to the episodes that pertain to Jennifer's body for this, but they've interviewed fantastic people. I'm like stoked to go and check out the rest of them, and they're so like well-meaning and like kind-hearted, like the interviewers. It's a really good podcast.
What is it again? Sorry.
It's the BOO Crew, presented by Bloody Disgusting. She explicitly just says it. She's like, you know, I don't know if everyone caught this, but Needy's gay.
Yeah, very clearly.
Yeah.
Like, why else would you put up with Jennifer? She's an asshole.
Yeah.
he is a great character. I really do. Chip was really great.
I loved Chip, and I think too he's a perfect on-screen representation of like a healthy acting partner at that age. You know, he was trusting of her. You know, like it was just there was none of this toxicity coming from him at all, which I think is important to see because I don't know, it's usually not the way of it.
Not that way at all. No, even now, like some crappy teen movies that I've watched now, like are terrible examples. Like what was it? One of them I watched, The Kissing Booth. Oh my god, the guy's such a piece of shit. At one point he's like trying to get her in the car and he like is yelling and hitting his car. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? What?
That's why I like Chip.
No, he's perfect, and I feel like he wears like a lot of vests, which I appreciate as well.
Yeah. That line where he says that he think he was already dead, but then he woke up when he heard Needy's voice. Tears, man.
Oh, isn't that just so precious?
So precious.
Chip!
I know.
And he was actually really good with Needy explaining the theory and everything to him. You know, like still made space for her in time and was still talking and stuff, but he was like, maybe you're not the bad. Maybe, you okay? I have a question. I wrote it down. I was like, I need to ask Sarah. What would you have done if Needy explained her theory to you the way that she did to Chip?
Well, I know what Xander Harris would have done from Buffy, which is immediately help her fight the demon.
Yeah.
With no questions asked.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I probably would have just done the same thing because, you know, I'm not that person who's like, I accept this totally weird story at face value. The end. I'd be curious.
I might be on the fence. I think I probably would have been. I'd be like, give me what you're reading and tell me what happened. I'll get a notebook. Tell me exactly what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'm that one.
I would be game to, like, go further with it, but, like, at the same time, like, I would not be like, I'm like, this is probably, like, a mental health thing as opposed to.
Yeah. See, I don't, it makes me worry about my decision-making skills because I'm like, tell me more. This might be true. Like, let's figure this out.
Well, you want it to be true because that's the fantastical. I want to be the Xander Harris of the situation.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. That's fair. Be real. Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I mean, like, it depends, too, because, like, if a ton of supernatural stuff was going on, I might be more inclined to believe it.
Multiple people showing up, like, brutally ripped in half. Young men.
Yeah, but that could just be a murderer, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same with, like, It. To the town, they're just like, oh, there's a murderer that's murdering people.
Again.
Weird.
Bummer. Let's still live here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
Why am I, like, so disappointed? I'm like, everyone would just, like, blindly follow, correct? No.
But then he sees her hovering. I love that, too, when she hovers in the pool. Chip's like, she can fly? She's just hovering. No. It's not that impressive.
Yeah. It's like, I love how she just takes everything away from her. So good. She's like, whatever. The ending also is really, I totally forgot the ending. It happened the way that it did. It was really good.
It's so good.
Like, the writing had such, like, a fun way of taking you in and out of the absurdity of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, kind of keeping it real enough that you're like, okay, sure, yeah. Like, you follow along. You find it believable. Even though it's ridiculous, you know? And at the end, obviously, Needy comes in. Again, spoiler, whatever, shut your face. You should have watched it. Needy kills Jennifer when she's weakened, because you find out because if she doesn't eat or feed, it is in a weakened state, and kills her by driving an X-Acto blade or a box cutter through her heart. Very good scene, which is Jennifer says, my tit, and then Needy says, no, your heart. It was really good. Like, it was still kind of funny, but real, and you're like, oh, like, but after that happened and Needy's still on top of her, clearly in shock, being like, holy I just did that. Jennifer's mom comes in. I totally forgot about this. Jennifer's mom comes in and sees it and is like, what the totally just confused and like picks up Jennifer and is like, what did you do? Like, wow. And like all of a sudden it goes right back into just like real. Like that is an obvious real response from a mother, you know? Like it takes it out of the fun and whimsical crazy like woo and then crash back into reality.
It's so true. And another thing that I thought was really interesting to that point is, of course, we go immediately from that scene to back to being with Needy in solitary confinement. I think it might be at the beginning of the movie. She says, and I have my fans, and you see all these things that people have mailed her. So, like, very clearly, there was probably, like, a very high-profile case, you know, and all this other stuff. And I remember thinking that must have been so interesting and, like, envisioning what that looked like. And, like, because some people end up, like, do crazy things like that and then end up with fans. And, like, yeah, you know, it was just kind of interesting, just, like, how they patched that together. I liked it.
I tried to look into it, but my pregnancy brain, I got partway there. But I guess there are multiple cases that are very similar to this, what happened in Jennifer's Body, where a couple of young kids just kidnapped a girl or like convinced her to come into the woods because they had drugs and beer and they were going to have a party, and they just killed her and did terrible things to her body. And they were like, oh, we did it because they wanted something stupid from Satan. So they were like, yeah, we'll just go ahead and kill this girl.
It's so frustrating stuff like that because, you know, like there's a loss of life that's true and real, and that's f***ed up by itself. Yeah. When you look at it in terms of like satanic stuff, going back to that, it's so strange because it's very clearly not Satanism. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kids that are like, oh, this is a good excuse. And they're using something that's like a Christian idea, a Christian concept, and applying it. And of course, I mean, it's the same, like it ignites that same like sort of thing that like Satanic Panic did, where it was like not talking about something real. Like, if like had they wanted stuff, they would and did research. They'd be like, oh, Satan isn't real, like in a lot of other beliefs, and Satanism doesn't require sacrifice because they don't believe in an actual devil and is often just about being your best self and social justice and all this other stuff.
Yeah, okay, because here I was gonna one of the questions was, so what's the real magic in Jennifer's Body?
Okay, I have a very, very small nugget that I pulled with this. And I didn't look into any real magic because, frankly, I just didn't see it. Like, I knew that you don't sacrifice people to Satan because people that believe in Satan as Satanists and not in, like, a Christian concept, they don't believe in a devil. It's a secular thing. The Satanic Temple and the Church of Satan. So those are two different things, but they both are Satanism, and they both have nothing to do with like a religious theistic devil. Like, one of them does believe in magic, which is the Church of Satan, which is based on Anton LaVey and his writings. But like, I'm just gonna go to the Satanic Temple for a second because there's 7 fundamental tenets. I'm not gonna read them all, but like the third one I thought was relevant here, which is number 3. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will. So inviolable, I have to actually Google that because I did earlier, but now I forget what it means. Never to be broken, infringed on, or dishonored. So right there, boom. And they have a similar rule in the Church of Satan as well. Okay. And they also have Q&As, which is like, do you worship the devil? And it's like, no, we're atheists. Like, or, you know, this sort of thing. So those are two different things, the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple, but neither of them have any sort of theistic, Christian-based devil concept at all. That being said, the real witchcraft, which there is really none, but something that came up as an interesting point, of course, you would know this, is there's a lot of like, in any paganism, there's a lot of archetypal symbolism. Like, there's a lot of working with archetypes. And one thing that I thought was super fascinating was something Megan Fox was actually talking about in, I think, the Bloody Disgusting podcast, for sure. They were asking her about this, what she was channeling or what she was like bringing to the acting table, or thinking about when she did that throw up scene at Needy's house. Yeah. And so she's talking specifically about that scene, but I kind of got the sense she was talking about the whole movie. was that she was channeling Lilith.
Oh, okay.
Which, of course, Lilith, yeah, so the archetype of Lilith, which is Adam's first wife in like the whole Adam and Eve story, who kind of ventures out and wants to be her own woman and is punished for it.
Goddamn women.
Right? And she becomes like some sort of demonic feminine force that hurts men or something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, Megan talked about that twice, channeling Lilith and that archetype. And she specifically used the word archetype. So I think she's very familiar with that sort of thing and that sort of like myth and story and stuff. And I just thought that was really fascinating. And that was kind of the only sort of snippet that I could really sink my teeth into, but I thought it was really, really cool.
I don't think I would have been that hip at 23.
No, me neither.
I would have been like, oh yeah, I based my performance on like, I took a lot from Lilith.
I know.
I would have been like, I was nervous to puke up the chicken. Like, again, point made. Megan Fox is too good for us.
Yes. Totally. So I thought that I was super impressed, really loved that, and I thought that was cool. And so that's kind of what I took as a snippet from this. But that was it.
I was not expecting anything more. So I just really liked, I liked that was going to be a thing you had to answer.
Yeah. Honestly, when I was doing my research for this, I leaned hard into the female horror monsters concept.
Cool.
I have this book, and I've had it in I've owned it for like years, like I'm gonna say like 10 years or something like that. It's called The Monstrous Feminine: Film, Feminism, and Psychoanalysis by Barbara Creed. Now, before that, I know that sounds, super impressive.
It does.
I've never read this book cover to cover. Like, it is way beyond my like ability to comprehend it all. But it's interesting, and I did read a couple of just a few parts here and there for this because I thought it was relevant. One of the things that she quoted, Barbara Creed, she's talking about The Exorcist specifically from 1973, I think, but she says, woman is constructed as possessed when she attacks the symbolic order, highlights its weaknesses, plays on its vulnerabilities. Specifically, she demonstrates that the symbolic order is a sham built on sexual repression. And I mean, there's more to that sentence that's more, makes more sense in the context of what she's talking about with The Exorcist. But I think that is Jennifer's Body in a nutshell. Anytime, anytime the status quo is like subverted, it's like, oh, she's obviously possessed. Like, without getting into the academic side, like, of things, but like kind of in that vein, I can say as a horror fan, the most powerful female monsters, or horror monsters, I guess, are based on like women's body. Like, it seems to be either this witch or this monster that's bodily related. And specifically, and she talks about it in the book and also in this other paper that I found, which was really fascinating too. It's like this horror of like menstruation too, which is odd because it's also empowering, right? There's another great thing here too in terms of that, which they talk about in the article, and I'll link it below. What was the article called? Oh, Desiring Monsters: Femininity, Radical Incontinence, and Monstrous Appetite in Ginger Snaps, Jennifer's Body, and Dead Girl. By Deborah Wills and Tony Roberts. In this paper, Desiring Monsters, they're speaking about like the female connection to the lunar cycle and like their lunar cycle with the moon. So kind of touching on that patriarchal fear, I guess, of menstruation and like how it conversely empowers women, right? They were talking about how becoming a monster as dictated by they're tied to the moon. So, like, with Ginger Snaps, of course, that's lycanthropy. They brought it up with Jennifer's Body, which I did not realize, but it was monthly feedings that she needed.
Shit.
And they specifically say that when she starts to get weak that first time, and the teacher's like, it's been a month since the incident. And
that's so shit.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And her skin gets bad.
Yeah.
And her hair gets weird, which this is like a thing that does happen with some women. I totally did not get that.
Yeah, neither did I. It went straight over my head, and then when they said it, I was like, of course!
Yeah, totally.
I just thought she was eating boys whenever it was convenient. I did not.
Same!
Yeah. But aside from Ginger Snaps, I couldn't recall feeling as empowered in that very specific way by a movie of this nature, probably until Jennifer's Body. Ginger Snaps came out in 2000, Jennifer's Body came out in 2009, so that's quite a gap. But I was thinking about it, so like, Teeth? Have you ever watched Teeth?
It's so good.
It's so good. Same stuff, right? It's very... I loved Teeth. Teeth, yeah, so good. When did that come out? I don't remember, but...
I haven't watched that in a long time, but I feel like I should rewatch it because it's really good.
Yeah.
2007.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
So
was
same.
nestled in there.
You know, it's another good, like, almost like body horror, but like in this female monsters kind of way, but that is empowering. And then the last thing I pulled was from that paper too, the Desiring Monsters, which was a quote, and I forget what the quote is here, so I'm reading it like it's for the first time. So
Cool.
in the way each of these 3 films presents monstrosity as something that is not fixed but mobile, complicating the traditional connection between monstrosity and bodies that are physically, socially, or culturally other. In these films, monstrosity does not reside permanently or solely in the visible, monstrous body. Instead, it flows, leaks, and spills over, attaching itself literally or figuratively to the humans within the monster's orbit. So I just thought that was kind of interesting because... Yeah, because you look at Jennifer, it was very compelling because they're talking about Jennifer's body, dead girl, and ginger snaps, but it's this whole idea of, like, contaminating other people and, like, not being able to see outwardly that anything is...
Yeah, wrong.
Yeah, because they're all beautiful. They're all beautiful women, and, you know, but once people poke around, you know, then they kind of get...
infected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or dead. Teeth is really good though. It's funny, I didn't even take this opportunity to think back at like similar movies where the evil is the femme, and then usually typically also a victim.
Yeah.
Very rarely is it ever like unless it's like an alien like species or something where it's like this woman that isn't really a woman but presents as a woman knows what's going on and is like
right
on a mission. But like Jennifer is a victim. 100%. Whatever the main character's name is, Teeth, is like very much a victim. She doesn't know what's going on. Like terrified just as much as the boys.
One thing I did think was really cool about, like, going back to Jennifer's body with this, especially because it's a decade old now, but the time it came out, of course, we had so much media coverage. Just in general, YouTube was kind of becoming a thing and all the things. So I thought it was really awesome that we could go back and, like, actually have, like, this oral history to watch and listen to and, like, see blogs from that time and stuff. I did have a lot of fun kind of going back and like, studying it like a person that studies history.
Yeah, I really appreciated, like, after I watched the interview with Megan and Diablo on, like, the E! Entertainment Tonight thing, Megan alludes to the fact, like, at the time she was, like, trying to be tough and cool, so she was wearing, like, band shirts and, like, ripped jeans and stuff, trying to be tough.
Right.
And then I watched interviews and stuff from the time, and I was like, oh my god, she is. Like, she's trying to be tough right there.
Yeah.
Isn't that, she's so honest and truthful.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of a bummer that it didn't get the attention. And I guess, no, it's not that. It got a lot of attention. The movie got a lot of attention, but it was all negative. I feel, too, that there's probably, like, something about this time because it was when YouTube was starting to get really popular. And, like, there's a lot of stuff, like, social media and, like, more avenues for the everyday Joe to, like, get their opinion out there.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of, like, armchair critics around, and everyone felt like they knew what was going on, and they, like, I watched some weird, I don't know, it was probably, like, the equivalent of, like, a Much Music sort of VJ going out and asking questions of, like, people when they left the theater, asking, like, what did you think, sort of thing.
Yeah.
The questions were stupid, mostly, but also everyone's opinions were, like, outrageous. Like, one woman was like, it was okay, like, the script was great, like, the dialogue was great, because it's, like, Diablo Cody, like, all of her stuff is great.
All of her,
like,
other thing.
Exactly. She was like, she just won't fail you there. It's like, you've only watched one thing that she's done. How do you know?
Yeah.
Like... But, like, everybody kind of just was like, I watched Fight Club. I know what's going on. There is a lot going on in movies, and I get it all. It was like, no.
Oh, geez.
Anyway, I feel like that also, like, probably made it a lot more terrible for Megan Fox and Diablo Cody, just because literally everyone everywhere. Twitter was like just starting to be a thing.
Yeah.
I think so. Like,
yeah,
the world was terrible everywhere.
Yeah.
Like in all places at all times. But it's also like it's nice to see like female characters in a friendship that isn't just like the stereotypical friendship.
Yeah,
A lot of
the one
people
that's
see.
complicated and there's layers to the feelings and stuff. Yeah.
And even the people in the relationships don't know where they're at yet in the relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, because if you think about it, Needy didn't have to kill the band.
No, she did that out of love and revenge.
Exactly. But it does make me want to like dive more into watching like horror movies in particular with more of this lens. Like more.
Yeah.
It's just a bummer that we're still at a time where we have to like dig for stuff. We gotta really try to find, what is it? Is it the Bachelor test or what is it? I can never
yeah, the Bechdel test or something. Yeah,
whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's like really depressing that like it's hard to find movies that fit that criteria.
Yeah, because
really
it's pretty basic. It's like you have to have two women with names in a scene together where they're not talking about like a male character or something.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
That's not many things to have.
Yeah. I think that's just what I'm remembering off the top of my head. It could be.
I think it is something simple like that. But it's like how few.
Yeah, exactly.
Legitimately, it's the Bechdel test. I don't know how to pronounce. I never know how to pronounce it. Bechdel. So number one, it has to have at least two women in it. They don't even specify the significance of their role. It has to have at least two women in it who talk to each other about something besides a man.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, currently there's 8,814 movies in the database. So that's actually better than I thought, but not if you think of how many movies have existed in the world. But that literally could be like you and I in the corner after like a huge discussion that men have at a bar, and I'll be like, "Hey, do you have a light?" And you'll be like, "Yeah, it's right here."
Yeah, exactly.
That counts.
End scene.
Yeah. Or I ask you like at a diner, do you want some pancakes today? Do you want some more coffee? And you're like, "Oh no, I'm good." That counts.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know. Is there any final thoughts you want to say about this?
For sure, if you watched this in 2009 and thought it was lame, or if you didn't watch it in 2009 because you were told it was lame, rewatch it or watch it for the first time and be your own boss. My brain is losing it. Sorry. Watch it.
I love how you say boss with a question mark at the end.
That's the only way I say it when it refers to myself. I'm my own boss?
What?
Oh, but yeah, give it a try because I think some dialogue probably didn't age the best.
True.
But it's good. It's great. It was then and it is now.
Totally. It was us that needed to kind of like grow up, I think. The public. The movie was never the issue.
No.
Nor was Megan Fox or Diablo Cody. Let's get that.
No, we're just the worst.
Okay, that's a wrap on episode 9 of the Coven Slumber Party. Thank you so much for coming to the slumber party and sharing your time with us. We hope you enjoyed looking back on Jennifer's body. If you have the urge to watch it now or rewatch it, but aren't sure where to look, you can rent it on YouTube right now, which is how I watched it. As for us, you can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Amazon Podcasts. And we'll be here next month with more witchy slumber party goodness, and hopefully you will be too. No initiation required, although we might make you put pineapple on your pizza.
People hate it so much. People hate pineapple on pizza.
I know, like, what the hell?
That's so fucking weird. It's like guttural demon sounds from the basement. For no reason.